After being able to introduce the world of Xuan Wang with the original 5 characters and expanding its plot with the supporting cast of the second core, Tencent's next step was bringing more seriousness to the game. With all the basic roles filled, the ground was set for more serious and daring martial artists to join to the arena. Then we have the Martial Masters, the actual elite fighting game circuit. And that's the inner circle. So, welcome back to the Xuan Wang character reviews. We're starting the third phase of our series, whose group I call the inner circle. And this is the moment the game starts departing from the flashy teenagers idea and starts introducing more believable martial artists. So most of the most popular fighting disciplines are represented with this group of characters, what's actually pretty beneficial for the game since it adds more seriousness and makes it a more respectable fighting game for those who like Street Fighter, for example. And our first character in this character group is Wang. Jeet Kune Do, one of the most legendary martial arts of history, and in fighting games almost a synonymous of Bruce Lee clone. So they really took it literal because Wang is an actual clone of Bruce Lee in this game. He doesn't only look exactly like a young Bruce Lee, but he is supposed to be secretly cloned from him, and as it couldn't be other way, he has mimicked his whole life, including being a martial artist and a movie star. What to say about Wang's design? I'd say he is a pretty good alternative to the standard Bruce Lee clone. Most of the times it's taken simply as black pants and a bare chest thing, but this one took inspiration of the most famous Game of Death costume. Naturally, we had a previous homage with Mr. Jones from Rage of the Dragons, but this one actually looks like Bruce Lee. I like the way with Wang they took the bright side of Bruce Lee and gave him an optimistic attitude. With other characters they tend to go too far for the badass look, and sometimes they plain end looking dumb. But this one is somebody you can relate with, and his theme song rocks. Also, very few of these kinds of character actually use the nunchucks within the fight. They basically have them to pose and that's all, but Wang uses them for some of his moves. And I have to say, they add something good to his design. I don't know you, but I like much how they looked crossed in his back. Now, his alternate costume, I don't care much about this actually. I can say much on its favor, but it doesn't look bad either, and of course it is an homage to Bruce Lee, so there's nothing to complain about. Whatever, Wang's sprite is pretty good, with tons of fluid and flashy animations, sometimes included only to show off, and a lot of cool poses and mannerisms taken directly from Bruce, so he is sort of spectacular. And now the gameplay. Wang's gameplay is probably the part that suffers the most, as I have to recognize it's pretty much a very basic Fei Long clone. At least he has two interchangeable recas with some variants that add to the mix-up and some animations that actually add up to the character, and have never seen before. Otherwise his moves are not that original, they are simply variants of Fei Long attacks. He has a reversal attack that at least may open for some cool maneuvers that Fei Long will never be able to do, and a running grab, but that's not enough for me. And his supers, in the first one he rolls on the floor and delivers a powerful punch followed by a flurry of hard blows ending in an incredibly cool looking shockwave, as well as a badass master pose. And this move is very useful by the way, and the animation is simply beyond epic. Then he has an anti-air super that's pretty much a carbon copy from Gato's in Garou Mark of the Wolves. And his hidden move on the other hand, it's sort of disappointing since it's more or less the same as Fei Long's Ultra Combo 1 on the Street Fighter 4 series. So Long's gameplay is not much original. I also think it may be kind of cheap because his recas are done by almost completely matching the button. None of this is very favorable towards him, but as long as he is good to use in the game, and he is, I think that's not that important in the end. And now about his personality. Well, Long is an archetype we've seen too many times already, so I can't say much about it. But I still like it, despite of a moveset that could have been better, but within the game is still pretty good and effective, and looks good animated. Something I'm very interested into is asking how they cloned him, as it is a mystery left on his storyline. My theory is that he could have been engineered by LSAI, the same company that created Kaoru and other androids, as they are said to be the masters of science and technology in the Wang universe, and they could be interesting in cloning, so it is related with artificial life. I really hope they won't leave this mystery unsolved and find a way to connect Long with bigger schemes running in the plot. His personality is well reflected in the game graphics, animations, and voice acting. And he is likable, just like Bruce Lee was. He is also, just like Kim or Hong Fu from Fatal Fury, a kind of vigilante and a justice enforcer. What? Okay, wherever. Well, that's pretty much everything about him. So Long could be not entirely original, but he is a good homage to Bruce Lee nonetheless, and being Chinese I think they have the right to do it. And while being just too much like Fei Long in the gameplay department, it has added a couple of twists. He is a likable character with good charisma and effective within the game, so there is nothing you could complain about, but the originality of course. But when the idea is basically getting Bruce Lee into the game, there's really not that much you can innovate in that aspect. So this has been Long. See you in the next episode of this third phase of the Xuan character reviews, and thanks for watching.
Winner! 哼，我还没有尽力。